Alright, so we've all been there. We got a day to fish. It's a lake we haven't fished before or one that we haven't fished recently. We go, we toss a coin, and maybe we find the crappie, maybe we don't. What if I told you instead there's something you can do to be confident when you head out on the water that you're going to find those fish and not only find them but be able to catch them and have a backup plan if things change? That's what we're going over today. I'm going to share my tips, techniques, and kind of the tactics I use before I get on the water and even while I'm on the water to make sure that I'm making the most out of the time that I do have on the water. Hi guys, welcome back to Lifetime Angler. So we all know it's important to make sure that we're on fish or otherwise we're just wetting a hook, drowning a minnow, killing time, whatever. It's still enjoyable, but it's not what we're looking for. So us being able to find the fish gives us that much better chance to be able to catch them. Today that's what we're going to go over. First, what's our situation? Our situation is we're in a new lake or a lake we haven't fished crappie for in a while. We're going out for a crappie trip. We're going to start with the pre-trip. Guys, it starts before you get on the water. It starts before you hook up to the boat, before you put a pole in the truck. You have to research your lake. That's going to be your first thing. Do a Google search and I promise you're going to find information about that lake and where crappie hang out. So those give you general areas or general tactics that people are using to catch the crappie. Now, once you do that, you're going to want to, of course, make sure you got the right gear. This is going to come into, I'm not saying you've got to have this specific gear or anything, but, you know, if we're going after crappie and you're going to be trolling, let's not take a surf rod, guys. Coolers with drinks and stuff, man, stay hydrated on the water. I'm the world's worst about it. I'll stay out on the lake all day and only drink 1 or 2 drinks. It's not good for you. I need to do better, but you need to stay hydrated too. Just your common sense stuff. If you're planning on going at night and you like to use lights, do you have your lights and are your batteries charged? The other thing to take into consideration, time of year. I mean, are you going to this lake in the spring when they should be spawning? Are we going to this lake in summer? Are we going somewhere where we need to worry about thermoclines? Are we going somewhere where shallow water is going to be the big ticket? Is it mainly deep water? Kind of think of those things. Are we going in the winter when it's going to be cold? You know, one, that's going to change the crappie's behavior, but also it's going to change what equipment you want to take with you, because I promise if it's below freezing out there, you want a jacket. Just the way it goes. So that's going to circle around a lot of what your pre-trip is, you know, you've got this massive body of water, even if it's a smaller lake like we're about to look at here in a minute. You know, you've got this whole lake. You can't always fish a whole lake effectively, and I dare say you cannot fish any entire lake effectively in one day. You've got to start breaking it down into areas. And if you see this camera behind me, it's pointed at my computer screen. We're going to dive into how I do that. And what I use is I use Navionics because I'm a broke redneck. You can get on free on their website, and you've got rough topographical maps of pretty much every lake I've ever tried to look for. Some of your real small stuff might not be there, but most of your stuff is there. They're not always the most accurate, but they give you a good idea. The other thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at Google Maps, guys. Satellite imagery, it can show you a lot about what's going on out there on the water before you ever even get in the truck to head that way. Alright, so again, y'all bear with me. I'm showing you this. My computer's outdated, so I can't screen capture, so pointing a camera at it's best I can do for you. Internet is awful slow as well. So this is a lake that I used to fish pretty regular. I haven't been out there in a while, but this is what Navionics looks like once you get into their chart viewer. Again, it's not always the most accurate. In this case, this lake is extremely low, so all of these depth readings you got to take into account. These readings are when the lake is full. That is most definitely not the case. As a matter of fact, I'm a little sad the direction this lake's headed. But you have the dam over here, and this entire lake, you've got one major channel that comes through and goes around here. And that's first thing you want to establish is where is the main lake, where is the main channel, and now from there, where would a crappie want to be? So it's March, getting close to April, so we're gonna play pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn, kind of that general time era here. So one thing I noticed is this is a creek, and guys, I like creeks and stuff, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here, and of course it's telling me there's some flooded timber, but if I look, we stay fairly straight there. We got a little finger that comes out here, and this bank here looks pretty tight, so this might be an area where they're staging. You know, they might run up into this area for feeding and spawning and whatnot. Looks like we have a pretty large shallow area here, so you might get them hanging off out in this creek and staging up on some of these little outcrops here and there as they come into the shallow area to spawn, or moving back out. The other deal I'm noticing right here, we've got a good steep point right at the mouth, and right here we've got, I guess we'll call it 2 points there. This kind of cuts in, but so that might be an area. The other deal, if you generally like a little bit deeper fishing, notice this main channel cuts around here, hugs this island, but then it breaks off right here, guys. You can see, you know, when this lake's full, you're 100 foot in this channel, and you're 90-ish right up here. So there's about a 10-foot ledge between these two islands. And just kind of for reference, this lake is probably 85, 90 foot low. So this is getting extremely shallow here right now. So this could be another spot where, you know, they're coming from a main channel, deeper water into shallow water. Again, it says flooded timber, and I can tell you that this whole stretch right here has freaking twigs and stick-ups and all sorts of crap. And then, you know, if we're talking spawning season, all of this right now would be fairly shallow, and it doesn't show it on here, but here in a second we'll flip over to Google Earth. I think there's some timber and stuff back in this area as well. So shallow timber, crappie, man, you ain't got to say much more for me to get excited. Let's go ahead. So after I do that, I've identified a few key spots. I'll come over here to Google Maps, and let's go back to this creek. Man, this will show you just how low this lake is. I'm not real sure when they took this picture, but this was where that creek split off, and you can see they're not even showing water in there. I can tell you a couple years back, whenever the last time I was here, you could still go into here and there's a bunch of flooded dead timber. But looks like this was that shallow area that we were looking at for spawning that's not sitting in the water anymore. So you can mark that one off, but there's some flooded timber they showed as well. So if we zoom in, you can see some of these trees. Man, I am a sucker for that kind of crap. We got a creek channel, which is the main creek feeding the lake, and you got timber sitting on the edges of it. That's gonna be pretty good. The other thing, you know, let's say we're a little earlier or later than spawn, they ain't moving up into the creeks. We had these points that we liked, and if you look right here, this is what Google Maps is great for, guys. This right here is trees. they're starting to show and stick up. And so this tree line, wait for it to load. This tree line that starts right here runs all the way to the mouth of this. So that would be, because the actual creek channel cuts through here and then swings back, that tree line would be nice to sit on. And I'm going back to history, kind of cheating here, but I've caught fish there before. I've actually done decent there. This lake's a bunch of 9.5-inch fish, but hey, I've done decent there. So maybe we mark those trees and we kind of mimic those. Looking at the rest of this, I mean, let's go up here to the shallow area. Yeah, see, you're bridged over here. Yeah, it looks like on the edges where it's shallow, there's quite a bit of brush and stuff in there. Looks like there's some more over here. Maybe a little bit there that's a little bit deeper, isn't quite poking out of the water yet. I'm noticing this hard line here. So that might be a steeper area in this shallow bit. So that might be interesting to check out. Some more trees along this island here. So again, we're talking flooded timber. You know, the other thing, knowing this is a single channel, you know, and you're looking here, you're pretty open. If we come back over here, you know, you might be able to troll this main channel here, especially where it's getting up tight to these islands, and see if you've got any deep water fish hanging out or suspending over that deep water. But here's something else, and you gotta be real careful. I don't know if it'll show up, but if you notice this area right in here, that almost looks a lighter brown like this rather than the steeper blue. That might be some structure, some bottom points that are coming up. See, maybe it's the end of this little underwater point where it drops off. If that is the case and you've got some shallow stuff that's going to drop a little deeper, that'd be another good place. So if you're an open water guy, there you go. So there you've got it. That's going to tell us we're looking at timber and pretty much just rocks and dirt, canyon dropping off. That's most of the lakes around this part of the country. But you know, we know what we've got a good idea of what we're dealing with, and we know we kind of want to fish some of the shallower stuff, so we can continue planning our trip based off of that. Okay, so as far as research and all of that goes, I hope me showing you the map and everything was helpful to you. If you'd like to learn more about topographical maps, reading them, digging into stuff like that, drop a comment down below and I'll look into getting a video out on that if it's something that people want to see. And while you're dropping that comment, tell me specifically what it is you want to see if I cover that stuff. But let's go ahead, we're going to keep on moving on. Alright guys, so what do we know so far from our pre-trip? From our pre-trip, we know we're looking at a lake that we're probably going to be fishing a lot of timber and shallow structure on. So we're looking at techniques, slip floats, maybe some spider rigging, some single pole jigging. That tells us what equipment we need to take and what kind of tackle and gear we need. Beyond that, we know it's springtime. Based off our understanding of crappie, we know they're either getting ready to spawn or they are spawning or have just finished spawning. Depending on where you are in the country, that would vary. So we know we're looking for typically shallower fish. There's not going to be just a whole lot of fish that are just way out in the middle of the main lake suspending for no reason this time of year. Might be a few schools. That's not going to be the majority of the fish, so that's not where we're going to focus. Now, what do we need to talk about? We need to talk about structure and cover. And guys, something I want to get straight is the difference between structure and cover, at least as far as I talk about it. Structure is what we're seeing on that topographical map. The bottom composition, is it, you know, a hump? Are we dealing with a ledge? Are we fishing a channel? Are we fishing flats? What are we fishing? Cover is the timber, the weeds, the rocks, the bridge pilings, the concrete boat ramp. Structure is the land. Cover is what the fish hide in or around. Simple as I know to put it. We know crappie are typically pushing shallower in the spawn. We're fishing shallow stuff, depth of water. Shallow. What is shallow? I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they were defining shallow as 6 foot or less. Is that what we're fishing? Maybe, maybe not. Shallow for us, we're going to say 10 foot or under as far as water depth. We're going to be looking for our fish to be sitting anywhere from, I'd say, 2 foot under the surface to probably no more than 6-7 foot deep. I don't see them being just sitting hunkered on the bottom unless we come up shallower than that 10 foot. If we're only fishing in 4 foot of water, they might be sitting down on beds in that 4 foot of water all the way towards the bottom. But you need to take into consideration how deep you plan to be fishing. Now we get to the water. What are we going to do? Well, we say we're going to fish shallow. I'll tell you honestly what I'm going to do in this situation that we went over on the map. I'm going to the mouth of that creek and I'm going to start fishing about 10 foot deep. And that goes completely against the plan we put together. The reason I do that is if I'm not getting bit in 5 or 10 minutes, okay, they're not that deep. I can continue to move shallower. So far my plan's good. Now, if they start biting, we need to look at something. Maybe we need to look at that ledge. Maybe we need to look at some of them steeper drop-offs, some areas that are holding a little bit deeper water. And we can make that adjustment. But if we don't think fish are there, let's go make sure fish aren't there. Now that we know fish aren't there, okay, now I'm probably going to start pushing into that creek. Probably stay towards the mouth of it on that tree line we saw. And I'm going to start bringing my baits up in the water. After they're not biting deep, I'm probably going to go all the way to 2 foot. Just 2 foot into the water, see if I get bit. Nothing. Okay, let's try 3, 4, 5. I'm going to try and find that. If I get back down to 8, 10 foot and I haven't got bit, okay, we're going to push further into that creek. We're going to start at 2 foot deep, maybe a foot, depending on how shallow that creek really is right now. And we're going to start working our way down again. And we're just going to go through, for me, it's going to be those pieces of timber. And I would be single jigging it. Now let's go flip side. We're at that mouth of the creek. We started out deep. They're biting there. Crap. What's our plan? What's our plan? We talked about going to that ledge or this or that. Honestly, y'all, I'm going to set up and I'm going to troll. I'm going to start from the mouth of that creek. And I'm going to follow that main channel. And I'm going to troll at the depth they were biting. If I lose the fish, I'm going to back up and go back over where I was. If I stay in them all through that main channel, hey, great. That's what I'm doing all day. I don't care how I thought I was going to catch fish. If that's catching them, that's what I'm going to do. Now you could troll for a little bit, get out of them, go back. Hey, well, this is right by a real steep rocky bank. Okay, let's go. Where was our next steep rocky bank? If you can find another one and it replicates itself, okay, now if you want to vertically jig them, if you want to slip cork them again, if they're shallow enough and that's what you want to do, go for it. Slow down and pick them schools apart, guys. But until next time, guys, y'all stay safe, tight lines, and we'll catch you later.